Good morning, students. Welcome to this new session. As you all know, we are on Unit 2.5, The Happy Prince. This is a touching story about the statue of Happy Prince and a swallow. It shows the strength of love, compassion, generosity, and at the end, the rewards. So let's get started. The Happy Prince. One day, in a heaven, God found two of his angels just sitting there doing nothing. They looked unhappy. God said, "Hey, it's heaven, and you can't just be unhappy here. What is the reason for your unhappiness?" One of the angels said, "We have nothing to do." Others said, "We are idle, and that's why we are unhappy." God said, "Okay, go fly over to the earth and find two best things from a city and get them to me." And thus, two angels of God flew away from heaven to earth, where a golden statue was located in the heart of the city. The statue of the Happy Prince. The statue of the Happy Prince stood high above the city. It was covered with gold. Its eyes were bright blue jewels, and a red jewel hung from its vest. Everyone thought that it was very beautiful. "Oh, my baby, why are you crying? Why aren't you like the Happy Prince?" sensible mothers said to their little boys when they cried. Sad men looked at the statue and said, "I'm glad that someone in the world is quite happy." Students, look at the margin line question. The people admired to the statue of the Happy Prince because it was covered with gold and had bright jewels for its eyes, and a red jewel hung from its waist. Let's move further. One night, a little swallow flew alone over the city. His friends had gone away, but he had stayed behind for 6 weeks, for he was in love with the most beautiful reed. Students, reed means tall, slender grass, which grows on marshy land or in water. Finally, one day, he asked to reed, "Will you come away with me?" But the reed shook head and said no. As she was domestic and attached to her place, Swallow said goodbye and flew away to the pyramids, that is Egypt, to meet his friends. All day long he flew, and night time he arrived at the city, where I can stay tonight, he thought. Then he saw the statue. I'll stay here, he thought. It is high up, so there is a plenty of fresh air. He landed between the feet of the happy prince. I have a golden bedroom. He was very happy when he thought. But as he put his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. He looked up. That is very strange, he thought. There is not a cloud in the sky, but it is raining. Then another drop fell. I cannot stay on a statue that does not keep me dry, he thought. I must find another place. And he decided to fly away. But as he opened his wings, a third drop fell. He looked up and saw, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were full of tears. They were filled with tears, students. Actually, after his death, the happy prince was made into a statue and stood high above the city. He could see then all the unhappiness of his city. And that was the time he realized about the suffering of his people. Students, what was the first gift from the happy prince? That we have to find out now. Let's go further. Far away from here, said the happy prince in a low voice, there is a poor house in a little street. Through an open window I can see a woman at a table. Her face is very thin. She has rough red hands. She is making a dress for one of the queen's ladies for a dance in the palace. Her little boy is lying on a bed in the corner of the room. He is very ill. He is crying because she can only give him water from the river. Little bird, will you take my red jewel to her? I cannot move from here. My friends are waiting for me in Egypt, said the swallow. Little bird, said the prince, please stay. The boy is crying and his mother is so unhappy. The happy prince looked very sad and the little swallow was sorry for him. It is very cold there, he said, but I will stay with you for one night. Tomorrow I will take the jewel. Thank you, little bird, said the prince. So the swallow took the great red jewel from the prince's waist and flew away with it over the roofs of the town. He passed the palace and heard the sound of dancing. The bird passed over the river and flew and flew. At last he came to the poor little house and looked inside. The boy was lying on the bed. The mother was asleep. She was so tired. He flew in and put the great red jewel on the table. And he flew round the bed, moving the air around the boy's face with his wings. "Oh," said the boy, "my face does not feel so hot. I think I'm getting better." And he fell asleep. Actually, he flew, getting round the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. And that is why the boy feel cool and he is better now. So students, what was the first gift from the happy prince? The first gift from the happy prince was a red jewel from his vest. Let's move further. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince. "It is strange," the swallow said. "It is very cold, but I feel quite warm." Students, here is the question. Why had the swallow felt warm? "That is because you have done a good thing," said the prince. The little swallow fell asleep. Actually, even though it was very cold outside, the swallow felt warm because the good deed he had done by helping the ailing child, ailing boy, and had warmed his heart. That's all for today's session, students. Assignment for the day is 4 margin line questions. 3 questions from the page 46 and 1 question from page 47. Answers of all these questions are discussed in today's video. If you will go through the video carefully, you will get all the answers there. With this, we come to an end of today's session. Thank you.